Hello and welcome on this episode of Golden Keys to Prosperity. Conversations today with my guest, Derek Mills. My name is ChriSOULa Sirigou, the Golden Muse, and this is another exploration of what prosperity is and how we can say yes to more in life, say yes to more success, say yes to more joy, love. And I come from the way I come from, as I said, we can have it all. So let's see what our conversation today with Derek, what we're going to explore and be inspired. And then every time I get a different guest on this episode, I feel there's always like a trigger, a key that opens up to something else. Let's see how this conversation is going to help you to activate, to connect with something more inside you, your inner truth. Derek, thank you so much for being on the call.
ChriSOULa, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Derek Mills is the author of the 10-second philosophy. Okay, this is the Hay House book, isn't it, Derek?
It is indeed, yes.
Yes. So, a practical guide to releasing your inner genius. Okay, so Derek, I like to start with the first thing that I'm curious about is what is prosperity to you? How do you define prosperity?
ChriSOULa, prosperity means something very different to me now than it did even a few short years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What it means to me now, and it's important to have that distinction because I'm a grown man, of a certain age, and I until really quite late into my 30s, I thought it was something else.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was about what you could count, what you could weigh, what you could measure. And actually my prosperity now is, of course, we need to be able to, have a roof over our heads and pay our bills. Otherwise we're in all sorts of trouble. But prosperity to me now means actually it's about having the capacity to spend time with loved ones. Mm. And that just means, as well as my wife and my children, my brothers, sisters, is also loved ones, I mean, people that I love who aren't in my family, but who are still brothers and sisters. Mm. And I actually feel, in a way, it's like having a storeroom of amazing gifts, and you can't get to use them all. So I have so many people that I love that I want to spend some time with this person, some time with this person, and going, I'm in a place where I feel so rich that I'm blessed to have people around me from my church, my family, my friends, community, and businesses. I feel wealthy in relationships. I feel prosperity in the ability to add value to other people. Mm-hmm. That's the part of this equation which wasn't with me before. Mm-hmm. It's where I feel rich when I can just say to people, just call me. Just call me, we'll have a chat. If I can help, great. And if I can do something that can help that person from when they're stuck and help them to become unstuck, that whatever it does for them, I feel wealthy, I feel rich because of that experience. So it may not be what you're expecting, I don't know, but for me it's around the richness of relationships, the ability to make a difference. Even from a purely selfish perspective, I feel great when I'm helping other people become who they really are, which I believe is great. I believe we're all great, but we all get stuck, and I've been there. I was there for 40 years, very stuck. So the idea for me is prosperity is as simple as that.
Yes.
And by the way, for those who are wondering, yes, money is good as well.
Yes, of course it is.
No, you can't put petrol in the car, and you can't pay your bills, and you can't pay the school fees. Then that's not a great place to be. So prosperity will also include the to be comfortable in the world as well. That's part of it.
Yeah. Well, it does resonate with me with what you just shared. Prosperity comes in my opinion, probably everybody else who contributed on these episodes. It's about bringing three things together: bringing love, which actually you just talked about. Bringing money, which it's actually keep everything flow and then gives us the freedom to do things and experience life, and also it gives us joy. So it is actually the three things coming together. Yeah. In your book, you talk about the connection with your true self, connection with your inner truth. And for me, it's actually one of the fundamentals to understand who you are, what you want in life, in order to say yes to more in life and have a prosperous life. So how do you see how do you have a connection with your journey with your inner self or your inner truth? Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, sure. And it's all of the great teachers and leaders are aware of some truths, and some really simple truths. You came here whole. On a scale of 1 to 10, you came here as a 10, and everyone is already a 10. The challenge is that for whatever reasons beyond what I know, is that the world conspires to keep us away from that 10, to keep us away from that wholeness, and to keep us away from that real joy and that, what I call the true self, as I'm sure you do. So we come in here whole, gifted, geniuses, whole self, true self, and the world does these things to pull us away from that. So the true self for me is around going back to that which you came here as. So it means, revealing by constantly looking inside in periods of introspection, and I mean structured periods, as well as all the time. Where we begin to look inside and say, who am I really? What's really there? What's yearning to come out? What are my passions? What are my desires? What are the energies? What are the pulses that are just pushing me, so I keep ignoring? These are the truths. And I share that the fact when we move away from the head and the ego to the heart and the spirit, to the soul of who we are, and we pay more attention there, that truth speaks to us. But that's only part of it, because we've all had a lot of good speeches in our time, haven't we? We've all had a lot of good conversations in our time. So the next part of the true self, as in that which you already were. Before we were born, you already were this thing, and you came in as that person. It's to recognize that hearing the voice isn't enough. We have to be able to act upon what we hear, what we feel, and follow through on that. And if we're just going to just listen, I've had some great conversations in my life, as in not with my truth, but with other people. And some of those conversations have been so motivational, inspirational, revealing, that have shifted things within me. But if from that moment, after the conversation, I do exactly the same thing that I was doing before, live the same way, it would have been a nice, lovely conversation, but what was the point? Because it was a gift. And my view is that we come here with that gift, and the part of this true self is to go back to that, to discover that, to reveal that from within, and just be that person. And this view of, for most of my adult life, really trying to be successful according to what the world would have me be, which is mainly around things, trappings and the appearance of things. But that just gave me great unhappiness. And what it did, it took me more and more away from my truth, and effectively there's this experience of fractionation between who I really am, between who I really am and effectively and my truth. So I then had to recognize that these things were happening, and they were real things pulling me away from my truth. When I began to shift and pay more attention to the inside, that was the first part. And secondly, allowing whatever I saw on the outside take me back inside. As in, not to stay out there, but to allow what I see out there to go back in and go, what does that mean to me? And where's the truth in that for me? And what do I need to do and be from this place today?
Yes.
And that became my new definition of success, ChriSOULa, because I said, well, you know what? Success isn't what you count, and the stuff you can't, you can't take with you anyway. So what my new definition of success became was actually discovering who I am and being that person. To the degree I discover more, to be that which I discover. I don't need another definition of success, because surely I've got a drink here, and the reason why the drink is in the glass is to have it outside the glass. It's not there to be in the glass, it's there to be outside the glass, to add value to the world in which it exists. And I see our spirit and our soul and our essence, our true self, as the same thing. We came in with it, not to go with it, but to get it out. And that's, to those that lock that down, I would say they are less successful. And to those that reveal that and release that and then be that, no matter what the world is counting around you, I don't care how many cars or houses you've got, if you're doing that, you're successful. And you find joy. And part of that thing that we came in as includes love. So the expression of that will come through in the love.
Yes.
It's not a selfish thing, it's a selfless thing. But the more we are true self, the better we are for ourselves and the better we are for the world. So that's how it is for me.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I bring the analogy of actually, that's why I call it the golden keys to prosperity, because all these conversations I've got with you and with others, including what I'm bringing in, they act as keys, but these keys are actually unlocking the potential, the golden potential that you've got inside you. And how you dig deep and you mine it and you bring it out. And but to bring it out, you've got to embrace it. You've got to feel into it and become, maybe you're down there, but you have to claim it as yours to be able to share it with the world. And that's part of being prosperous as well. And that's exactly, you described it in your own way, and I describe it in my own way.
And that's what it is, because it is. But they use a word there, which is a couple of words that struck out for me when you said them. One was to claim it. Because many people are disclaiming themselves.
Yes.
So people are saying, well, I'm not going to be that because the world wouldn't maybe like me if I'm like that, or wouldn't want me. So people disclaim themselves or don't claim their truth. And it's in not claiming our truth that we'll struggle more in life. Because if you come here with a set of gifts and talents from God, and he says, look, these are yours. Nobody else is like you. These are yours. And you go, let's just put those aside. You're going to struggle because those gifts were given to you to get through this life. So without those gifts, you're going to struggle. So when things are difficult in business, life, relationships, we need to revert back to our true self and start revealing our gifts. And the same gifts that we came here with, the same gifts that were there, all of those lean, tough, difficult years, when we start to embrace and use and, as you say, claim them, life becomes easier. Because we're now in the world playing at a higher level with the gifts that we've got. So the first thing I really pulled from you there was the claiming of it. And the second thing I got from you then was about the activation. It's okay to have self-awareness, and with respect to anyone that meditating up a mountain and sitting down for weeks, months or years, whatever it is, and then staying on the mountain. I'm just wondering, because God told Moses, get off the mountain and go and do some stuff. The place which you stand is holy ground. He said, get off the mountain and go and do that and sort some things out for me. In other words, activate. I always think about the packets that you get a packet of say sunflower seeds, and you keep them in the drawer in the kitchen, and year after year you see the seeds, and you see that, and you open the drawer and you see the seeds, and then one year you take out the seeds and you open the packet and then you put them into the ground, and the same seeds that did nothing for you in the drawer, when you activate, open, plant, nurture, water, sun, water, nutrients, the seed knows what it is, and therefore it becomes a sunflower as a result of it already knowing what it is. So the key thing here is the activation part. The seed knows itself. It is effectively, this might sound very strange to a lot of people, but the seed is self-aware. And how do I know that? Because you put it in the ground, it becomes a sunflower. It doesn't become a chair or a baby or a book. It becomes a sun, so it has some awareness, but we have to activate for that which is already inside the seed to come out and flourish. And an average sunflower seed, there are maybe 500, 600 seeds that can produce oil and food, and inside every, there's gifts within the gifts, and that's what we have to activate.
Yes. And and all this conversation here, it can act as the trigger, as I said, but also as a way for you to say, okay, where am I at this point in my life? Because we are all coming through different stages, and we all take different steps. And where am I at this point in my life? And what can I do to improve my life and bring that awareness more, activate our awareness. But the next step, I totally agree with you, Derek, is actually what I call it inspired action. Or maybe other people call it inspired action. But that's what it is. It's not just also coming from a place of you have to do things all the time. Because action sometimes can be interpreted as being a doing person rather than being.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's where you're being from.
Exactly.
It's not a verb. It's a being. It's actually the name of what and who you are. It's what you're claiming. Yes. And then there's the being, which is the action part, but that slips into the doing. But you've got to start with the core, haven't you? You've got to start here. If you come from, if there's good inside, I think it was who's the guy now? It was Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Yes.
When he said, if you squeeze an orange juice comes out. Mm-hmm. Sorry, correction. I'm misquoting Wayne Dyer here. If you squeeze an orange juice comes out. Well, why? Because that's what's inside.
Yes.
So there is an activation there to get what out, but you get out what's inside. So, it is about that. And what's really important, I feel, if we go back to our analogy of the sunflower, often people start and they start activating and doing things, and then they fall by the wayside, or they stop, or they don't see the results straight away. So part of my success philosophy for working with individuals and groups is to say, okay, what are the support systems here? Mm-hmm. So you've got a sunflower in there. We've all done as well. I certainly have, and lots of people have. Is you put a stick next to the plant, and you put some string around that plant so it supports it. And every now and again you go and check on it. You support it. You put things in place, structures, because success is a setup.
Right. Okay.
And success is a setup. Once you've activated, what you need to set up to keep that thing on track, to keep it going, to keep it inspired. And if you have to activate the sprinkler to come on, at 6 o'clock and then 4 o'clock, well, that's how you set things up. If you don't set up the plant to be watered, it will die. Mm-hmm. It will die if you don't set it up. If you don't put the odd nutrient in there, it will not flourish as much as it could do. If you don't have a stick there and it grows so tall and then the wind takes it, it will fall over. So there are a number of things we can do in our lives, but once we activate, we've then got to set up real world structures to keep us in that place, to keep us in that strength, to make sure we continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, and that comes to the next question I've got for you, because we've got to talk about, because you are the standards guy, so we've got to talk about the standards you bring in as part of your way to inspire others to be more successful in life and equally more prosperous. So if of all the standards that you probably can take us through a little bit about your philosophy in that area. But I would like us to concentrate, for the sake of this videocast, in one particular standard that you feel that, I bet all of them are equally good, but if you could just choose one of them, just to give us an example, that would be really great.
Yeah. The standard that I'm going to choose, because the standard I'm going to choose is one around family. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's so important, because when I was 38 years old, I was spending less time with my children and my wife than I was in the office. I was in the office pretty much all the time until like 9, 10, getting home at 11 in the evening, working Saturdays. Sundays, if you'd let me, if I could see someone, I would go and see them on a Sunday afternoon. And did this for more years than was clearly healthy. And that had a detrimental effect on everything around me. It even had a detrimental effect on my business because I wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. I was never present. I was in the office thinking I should be home, when at home thinking, should I not be in the office, and being in that place. So I began to set these standards, and for real clarity here, I set what's called daily standards. Yes. In as much as a standard is something that one could aspire to have. For me, going full circle with our conversation, a standard is a being, as in a be, which means it's about today. Mm-hmm. So my standards, I only be my standards today. Mm-hmm. You know how goals are future-based. I'm going to get that one day, be that one day, have that one day. With daily standards, we will say, for example, as standard, I'll take my daughter to school every morning. Right. My eldest 3 children, never took them to school. I went straight to the office before they even went to bed. That poor standard led to less communication and a poorer relationship with my children. You might not call it a standard, but a standard is a basis of how you live, a criteria that you stick to, a level you won't go beyond or that you won't go below, basis level criteria, quality that you have or adhere to, or a rule that you stick to or will not break. The challenge is a lot of us, including me, for the first almost 40 years of my life, realised that the standards were not serving me and were not serving those around me. So I took time to go, okay, so one of my rules, the criteria and the levels and the basis of how I'm living, how I'm being, and I realised, you know what, family is so important, and if I want to have this place and happy space and proper relationships, strong, deep, loving relationships, I had to change the standards. So I began to take my kids to school every morning as standard. Yeah, not going to do it, like a goal, doing it daily. Yeah, daily standards. Pick them up from school. Cancelled and let all clients know Derek doesn't do evening appointments anymore. Standard business model. Come to the office. He's not doing the 50,000 miles driving around the UK that he used to do. You want to remain a client of Derek's, brand new standard. Come to the office. And I can see more of you and I can serve you better. No more working weekends. Brand new rule. Derek, we've got some money to invest. I'd like to see you about this. Can we see you on Saturday? No. It's this much money. I'm seeing my wife and my children. I don't see clients on Saturday and Sunday. If you need to see me, you want to see me. So I said all these standards, taking the kids to school, being there, and they're getting older and older now, and two of them at university. But it was all around being there for the sports days and the things I just missed. And I missed them virtually as standards. Something going on, I'm going to the office. Something happened with the kids, I don't work, I can't go to. That was my standard response. I mean, I began to change all of that and having meals with my children and being there and being with them before they went to bed and being there when they woke up in the morning. Yeah, all these standards. And I think it was John Crudell or Zig Ziglar, one of the two, that said children spell love Time. And it's one of those things where you think, well, you know what, heaven has sent me these angels into my life, and if heaven sends you angels, spend time with them. Yeah, so my stance became about family. And just as an aside, but this may not sound relevant, but it really is, especially to those entrepreneurs and people in business and business leaders who I coach. The more I became the family guy, I don't mean Peter Griffin family guy, I mean I became family guy. When I became a family guy, I felt better in my business, in my life. I felt happier. I know that those standards made for a happier me. And somehow, as if by magic, people who I was trying to do business with, and in some cases struggling to do business with, began to pick up something different from me. Because almost overnight, they began to say, yeah, you're the guy. It's you. We'll do business with you. And I know that the more I began to live as my truth and live by daily standards that came from my truth, not from outside of me, but from inside of me, more people realize that the energy that's inside of them, the love, and I'm using weird language for a businessman, but the love inside of them and the energy inside of them, the spirit inside of them recognized me. And they said, yes, in numbers bigger than ever before they were not recognizing me. My grandmother would say, their spirit didn't take to me. That's what she said. My spirit didn't take to him. Oh, my spirit took to this person. I didn't know what she was talking about when I was a kid, but I know what she's talking about now. And more people, as I began to be this authentic person, living by standards which were true for me, one day at a time, more people said, my spirit's taken to you. My spirit has really taken to you. You know what? You're not the chief person. You can't do that and that, but you know what? It's you. We want you to look after us, Derek. And that's why the business went through the roof, even though I started with spirit, love, energy, daily standards. Is that going to make sense?
Yes, a lot. Yes, it does. It does make sense, and it comes back to what we started off the conversation with what prosperity means to you. You talked about richness, and you talk about family relationships, and you talk about investing in these relationships.
Yes.
Doing it daily. It's not just saying one day I'm going to pick up my kid from school and the following day you don't, and 3 days later you do. But you say you stick to a standard that comes from within.
That's it. I like stick to your standards, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you kind of, I know you get this. I love speaking with you because it's like you just get it. Because it isn't some kind of rocket science or incredible. It's some of the simplest thing, the greatest gift, from 1 Corinthians or 12 or 13 that says, the great faith, hope, and love, and the greatest love. But that's not complex, is it? That's like, well, yeah. Well, how about you use the greatest gift? How about you be the greatest gift? So this stuff of saying, go inside to your truth and discover the daily standards that you should be operating for you, different for somebody else. Discover your daily standards, the rules, the criteria, the levels, the qualities of the rules that best honour and serve you, and in so doing, allow you to honour and serve others. I promise you, when you begin to do this and you stick to it, by having those support structures, which is why I had to write the book to show what all that meant and how you put it together. As you stick to it with those support structures around your daily standards, stick to it. What you can become, you will become. And what you can become is who you truly are, will surprise even you. Which is why for some of my clients, I encourage them not to even have goals. Because for some people, goals are limiting. Because you can write down what you think you can have, do and get and be, whatever, based on what the world has made you think. Does that make sense? So you're limiting your thinking about what you can achieve based on what the world has made you think and be, and your ego has overpowered you. The truth of who we really are is far more than anything we could write down. So for some people, goals are limiting. And for others, living by daily standards help to achieve their goals. So and by the way, I know I'm slightly controversial when I talk about this, but when I do go on different stages around the world and I talk about the fact that the goal setting philosophy is really, most people don't hit their goals. Most people in most places around the world for most of their life miss their goals. But we've had this system for about 100 years now, so how long do you stick with the system that hasn't served most people most of the time? So the idea is, if you're going to have goals, recognize a couple of things. Which is why I turn my life around from 38 onwards, when I recognize, actually, I've been doing the goal things for 20 odd years at that point. And now there I was, broken, depressed, as you know. And I realized, actually, you know what? Goals don't achieve goals. Goals don't achieve goals. They never have. It's the daily standards that we live by that determine us. Because if we live from the spirit and from our truth and the right daily standards, they will determine any outcomes more than writing down or doing a vision board or whatever you want to with any goal teaching system out there. Because if you say something that we're all tied into our health. So if we say, the guy says, I want to bench press 250 kilograms, I want to be 15% body fat, and I want to run a mile in 8 minutes, and he writes his goals down, he has a vision board and all the cutouts, and he sticks it in his office at home and he visualizes it. Those are his goals. But if on a daily basis, you know where I'm going with this, daily standards are, he's eating Mars bars, and he goes to the store and he looks at the packet of the food and it says 35% fat, and he still eats it. And the only exercise he does is he eats the remote control each evening. A 12-year-old can tell you that those standards done each day, those daily standards, are never in a month of Sundays going to achieve those goals. So here's what we've learned. Had to share it once, started using it in my life. Goals are goals, but goals don't achieve goals. It's your daily standards that we live by that determine our success or our failure. And that's why I had to write the book, True Self, Daily Standards. That's why I had to write the book for Hey House.
Yeah. Yes. So it's fascinating. I really love exploring all of this with you, Derek. So I would like to ask you this question. Probably you have already answered somehow, but I'll ask again, because I'm sure you'll be able to see from a different angle. If a client of yours comes to you and says, it could be a new client or somebody you've already seen, and says to you, well, Derek, actually, I like to have more money in my life, or I like to have more sort of more, I don't know, it could be whatever success means to them. I'd like to be more successful, okay? Yeah. So somebody who comes to you in that mindset, how do you approach them? What do you do? What do you say to them?
Well, people often do come to me with exactly that mindset. And what I start with is actually helping them to understand why they want that at this moment, and to help them to determine are you wanting that because that's what you think the world should have you be? Are you wanting that because it's what your company tells you should have, or your mom, dad, sister, whatever it might be? Or do you really want that? Is that something? And that's the first thing, because a lot of people will say similar things to what you just said, but have no real depth to why they even want it. Because isn't that what success is? Well, I don't know. Help me to understand what's important about success to you. And they often give me answers which are nothing like the thing they're trying to get. Okay, so if success to you is this, where did the other stuff come from? So another question is, they have to then go inside and go, well, because from the TV, from social media, from wherever, my previous job, my growing up. So first, to help them to understand, ChriSOULa, is really vital. When they come with a question like that, I need to know what's the source of that. Yeah. And then help them to understand what success for them could really look like, and what they really want, and who they really are. Because this is just a stage we go through, because let's suppose you set goals based on you thinking on a scale of 1 to 10, energetically, spiritually, talents, gifts. On a scale of 1 to 10, you think you're a 3. You're going to look at life and set goals in a certain way to link with you being a 3. Actually, you're a 10, and you've got gifts that could change the world. And if you find a way of releasing that 10, even if you get to 4, 5, 6, 7, as you release those talents and gifts and passion and joy, you release that true self into the world, you can figure out how to deliver that to the world in a way that the world says, I'll pay you for that. If money's your thing. So, but if you try and deliver in the world as a 3, the world doesn't pay much for 3s. It doesn't pay much. I'm sorry, I wasn't there when the rules were made, but I know the world doesn't pay much to a 3. Yeah. What I do know is that actually you're a 10. So if you start showing up as a 4, and I coach clients how to raise their daily standards so they become a 4. I know that they're a 10, but they're not going to go from 3 to 10. Not with any belief, not with any consistency, not with any congruency. So help them to raise them to a 4. And over time, they have to raise themselves to a 5, and it's like a stairway. Because as they raise who they are, what always happens is they change the perspective of what a goal means to them, and of what they can achieve, and what they now want to achieve. So let's package that up. And then I bring it right down to earth. Because to me, the great spiritual stuff is wonderful, and love is wonderful, and that's the most important thing. But we are spiritual beings, it's been said, in the real world. So that's how we get that. And so what do you do tomorrow at work? So it's how do you restructure your business, and what's your thing? And so how are you going to live today? Yeah. So then part of my strategy is to take them from that space of who they really are, what they can be, over a number of sessions to figure out, now, how do we make this practical in your life, in your business, with your money? Because even with your money, your wealth is determined by your daily money standards. If you have the wrong money standards, you will not become wealthy, no matter how lovely you might be as a person. And if you can't package up the gifts and talents that you've got, they'll be unused. So how do we package this? So I go from a revelation perspective to, and it sounds hard sometimes, people who are too overtly just into the fluffy stuff into the woo-woo stuff, just into the spiritual, beautiful, amazing, light people. But I want to say, and you're in the world. Yes. And you're in the world. So how do we get this now so you can stop crying about you can't pay your bills? So how do we go from there to there? And that's where I believe my gift is to, one by one, person by person, is to have to move that gifts. And I keep going back to the Bible here, because where God has this conversation, the first conversation with God, and Moses is saying at that time, like many clients say, I'm not good enough. Have you got the right guy? Have you seen my past? I killed a guy. I did this over here, and I ran away. And I'm hiding. And according to the 2 translations in the Bible, Moses had this speech impediment. So I can't speak very well. Have you got the right guy? This isn't me, not for this job. And God says, it's you. You right there. It's you. Step up and do the things. And what the beauty of that story became for me, something different to what it was when I was a child or a young adult. What it became for me was God was saying, you're already a 10. You're just seeing yourself as a 3. Get off this mountain, that spiritual mountain, and do good in the world. That's what it said. Go and do good in that place. I'm still not good enough. And God says, you know what? I'll speak to you. You speak to Aaron, your brother. and your Aaron, your brother, will speak to the Pharaoh. We all know the story. We've all seen Prince of Egypt or Moses, the film. God speaks to Moses and says, no, Moses speaks to his brother Aaron, and Aaron speaks to the Pharaoh. And here's what really got me from that story, which I'd missed for 40 long years. Moses said, no, can somebody else do this? And God said, you know what? Aaron is on his way to that town right now. I just thought, and he said, go there and meet him. I thought, that's interesting, because before Moses got on the mountain, before Moses began to say, I'm not good enough, if you got the right guy, is it really me? Do you see my bag? Have you seen my past? Do you know what we have? Before he began to protest to say he was not good enough, Aaron was already on his way. And I realized that, when we get off that spiritual mountain and start doing things in the world, move to doing things and being the love that we are, the people who are going to help us, people who are going to transform us and work with us and join us, are already on their way. Already on their way. I was like, can't believe I've missed that for 40 years. So I get off the mountain, get off the mountain and go and do something. And the people, if you don't get off that mountain, you don't get to meet the person. You don't get to meet the love of your life. You don't get to meet the people who can help you become a billionaire if that's what you want, or to change the water crisis in the world, or to shift the issues around poverty. See, this is around this wholeness, this oneness of things. And God is saying, you know what? You're not alone in this. He's saying you're with other people in this. But you need to get off this mountain. You need to go to that place and be you. Someone else will meet you there and join you, and you're going to do amazing things. And I also, when I flipped it around and I began to think about it later, I realized, sometimes we're Aaron for others. Many times in life, we have to continue our journey because there's a Moses coming. We have to support Moses because he's coming. And so when we're on our journey, whether we're a Moses or an Aaron, it's about getting off and doing something and accepting the task, putting aside the luggage and the baggage that we have and saying, I'm good enough. And you're in this life because God said, you're good enough. Have this life. Use it. Do something. Help others. Love. Yes.
And based on that, I'm going to share with you, because this bottle in the system I work with is called Satori. Satori means awakening. And you've got two bottles here, two colors here. You've got very rich deep gold, and you've got magenta. And exactly what you were describing, Derek, magenta is the color of present moment, is the color of now. And it acts as a bridge, bridging heaven and earth, bringing the two together. Yes. So I just felt very much inspired to share that, because we can have it all here, home, Mother Earth, and we can have spirit and body together, and we can feel, be, and act, and inspire others in doing so. And that's what Derek, was sort of, that you are the bridge, Derek. You're bringing. The magenta is heaven on earth, and the gold that we've got inside. You're actually bringing that, and then you say, okay, here it is, and you need to pack it. You do need to pack it up. You need to bring it out there for others to say, oh yeah, it's there. I can see it.
It's absolutely 100%.
It's visible.
Yeah, and when we see it in others, for me, it's a standard. When I see it, whatever it is, in another, that other being me, you, but in an other, is to say it, to call it and say, oh yeah, I see it. You've got something inside you. I can see light. I can see something, or I can feel it, whatever it is. And even if I can't read out, sometimes I get a good, strong feeling about what that thing is, and I surprise myself and others. And other times I just go, but you've got something. And the funny thing is, although everybody's got something, I'll only say it authentically. So when I'm feeling it and seeing it, I say it. And I think that is as if the Spirit knows you should be speak that which comes through you.
Yes.
Don't put it down. Oh, there's some great stuff coming out. No, I can't say that. No, if it's coming out of you, if you're being Spirit-led, say it. Because this person has traveled for 38, 35, 37, 47 years. Speak the truth that comes out from you to that person. Help them. Because the truth it comes from love. So if you're pulled spiritually to guide, help, nurture, develop, or even just a few words, everything begins with a word. In the beginning was the word. So we know these things. Words can change. Words, thoughts, questions, phrases, ideas can change everything. So be guided from within, but don't just keep it for yourself. We've all got to share that. And thank you for saying what you just said, because like you, whenever I see it in someone, whenever I see whatever light or energy or feeling, I'm compelled.
Yes.
In that moment, maybe exactly what they need.
Yeah.
What the world needs, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'd like to close this episode with something that you're very excited about. I know you're involved with something really, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you can share with us a bit about this. Is it a new project, a new initiative?
Yeah, I think the newest thing that we're doing with Daily Standards is you've read Think and Grow Rich, or you've the book by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
And probably I think it's the biggest selling personal development entrepreneurial book that's out there, even outselling the 10-second philosophy, and by a couple. And here's the thing. Because of my story and my approach using Daily Standards, they're making a film about the book, Think and Grow Rich. And the producer of the film basically heard of what I was doing and how I shifted my life and using Daily Standards. And they asked me to be in the film, Think and Grow Rich. So it's going to be worldwide, coming out in September of this year. It's got some incredible, I mean, I say humble isn't a humble enough word because it sounds too grand, humble, you know. I need another word. I feel really humbled nonetheless to be asked to be in the film, to share part of my story and say how I use Daily Standards to implement Think and Grow Rich after many years of just trying to achieve goals. And they basically asked me to be in the film, so I'm going to be in that film, and it will go like the book did, global. And I'm hoping that just two things. One, it re-engages those who've read the book in the last 20, 30 years or 40, 50 years. It's been around since 1935. But it's my prayer that it also engages Generation X, Generation Y, millennials to become all they can be. And I can't say anything more than I feel really blessed, because some of the people are in there, like Dennis Kimbrough and Bob Proctor, Rob Drydock, and couple of little billionaires in there, and maybe wanted to surprise people who, if they are, I won't spoil anything, but one or two people who maybe will surprise the viewing audience that will be in this film. And I'm excited. I'm really waiting.
Congratulations! That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. One of those things. It's, if you said to me when I was reading the book, when I was 22 years old, reading it, struggling through my 20s and early 30s, that, oh yeah, within a number of years, they'll be doing the film of this book and you'll be in it. And that's the thing. How would I have set a goal around that? That would have limited me in a way to say I want to do this. The goals I had at the time in my 20s and 30s limited me. Mm-hmm. What's actually happened has been far beyond any goal I could have set. So for me, I'm honoured, and I hope that this film reinvigorates the book Think and Grow Rich, and that it changes lives for the next 90 years, the way it has for the last 90 years. Please God.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Derek Mills. Thank you, Derek, for being on this episode of Golden Keys to Prosperity, which is actually launching very soon. And I'm really excited about it. I've got a number of people that said yes to share your wisdom and inspire yourself, inspire others at the same time, because that's what we're here. We're here together. We're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love you. The more you do, just keep letting me know, and I'll share it wherever I can, because it's this inspires me just being a guest on the show, and I'm inspired by the very nature of the questions that you ask, because the questions you ask cause your guests to go in. And you know that there's gifts coming out when they go in, rather than going to the head. You go here. So that's an observation for me to you. And if you continue to do that, there'll be golden stuff, pearls coming out for your audience as a result of listening to your guests because of those questions. So thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Derek. So you can, of course, if you like to connect with Derek, you can find more information about his work. Where he's a speaker. He gets involved with lots of exciting projects, including the upcoming film, and the website address. If you could share that with us, Derek.
Yeah, it's www.dailystandards.com. Daily Standard.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being on this episode with us, and more is coming up. I'm really delighted and excited with the actual launch coming up very soon, and yes, so all is good, and see you very soon. Lots of love from me, ChriSOULa, and from Derek.
Bye.